o'clock. Welcome to the May 17th RDA meeting. If you'll take the roll.
Sure. Bella Corrali,
Here.
Hintz, Stam,
Here.
Hutchinson,
Here.
Conick,
Here.
Belter,
Here.
Bugerauer.
Here. First thing up, we have approval of the March 27th special meeting minutes.
Move approval?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, if you'll take the roll on that.
Bella Corrali,
Sign.
Hintz, Stam,
Aye.
Hutchinson,
Aye.
Conick,
Aye.
Belter,
Aye.
Bugerauer.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 3, Jefferson Street request for proposals, review draft RFP. Kelly, it's all you.
Excellent. Well, everybody is aware that RDA has been land banking properties in this area between North Main Street and Jefferson, north of Parkway and south of Irving, for years. And in our packet, we do have an RFP, a draft RFP that we would like you to look at and consider to send out. Staff is looking to send this out to developers to try to receive proposals for this project. I'm looking at some sort of mixed-use multifamily housing. The reason we're doing it is in the past, I'd probably say 6 months, we have received quite a bit of interest in these properties. Recently, in the past year, WHEDA, Wisconsin Housing Economic Development Authority, they administer the state's low-income tax credits. This area, within this census tract block area, it scores very well. So this piece of property was very interesting to many different developers throughout the state and actually outside the state a little bit too. We've received inquiries. So we thought just because we had so many inquiries, it would be best to go out and try to get proposals from folks just to make sure the RDA is able to take a look at all the different options out there. So what we have in the packet here is a request for proposals. Really just outline, what our goals will be. A lot of it we took from our housing study to try to accomplish that. We aren't specifically calling out that we want low-income housing here. We're leaving that up to the developer. But like I said, we were approached by various developers that really focus on multifamily low-income housing where they utilize the tax credits. So with that, we do have, information that we want to obtain as part of the proposal. Certain proposal requirements we have listed in here, and, the developer credentials and legal structure and their financials. And we want to make sure if we are providing an option, to whatever developer that, they do have the means to complete the project. For a schedule, we are looking to have the proposal submitted by the end of June so that RDA could review them or listen to presentations at your at your July 19th already scheduled RDA meeting. Another reason why we're doing that is we want to be able to, if there are other companies that, they try to do one low-income housing project a year, we want to make sure we want to give them time to try to find another project. These applications are due in the end of January. So for this one, it'd be January of 2024. But there's a lot of work that goes into it. If there, needs to be zone changes or if there's a TIF request, and there's a lot of, items that need to be completed before the developer can submit their application to the state. So that was another reason why we did want to, have this, due in the summer, so it gives everybody enough time to try to take advantage of those credits. So with that, we are asking for the proposals, and staff will review them to make sure they're completed with the information requested, and then we will provide them to RDA members, and then if the proposals are complete, we will invite the developer to come in and present to the RDA. And, so you're able to have that discussion and decide maybe if there's somebody who you'd like to learn more from, or If you'd like to, extend the, the submittal period. So it's really up to the RDA. But we at least wanted to, put out kind of that basic information. And, we have a lot of folks, we've been telling people that we're going to be doing this. So we have a lot of people that are very interested in this. So with that, as Vice Chair Belter mentioned, this is our third RFP that we have done for this area. I think staff has our fingers crossed this is the time that we are going to get something going in here, just with some of the changes that WIDA has made.
Kelly, what's the setback from Jefferson Street?
This area is zoned, let me make sure I get the right zoning, TR10PD. So this is a planned development. So you don't know that? So this is a planned development. So with that, we do have some flexibility. We understand that perhaps, maybe the houses, the buildings might be a little bit closer to the front, to the sidewalk, and maybe the parking is in the back. So we are prepared to probably give some setback reductions. And I don't have the exact number, but with it being a planned development, there is flexibility because it is a smaller site. We want to try to maximize it as much as possible. Obviously, we're still keeping the character of the neighborhood too.
Well, that was the problem with one of our earlier attempts at doing this. There wasn't enough land
Yep.
to build the density to make it cash flow. But when you go to big cities, there are all these townhouses that have nice brick walls right by the sidewalk, and the house is right there, and they're really cool.
Yep.
So if there's some way to incorporate that in here, it'd be nice.
Yeah, and we know there has to be, there has to be some density to make the numbers work.
Okay.
So I think we are prepared for that. And we do obviously own a property on North Main Street, and, we always are looking at, could we acquire more on North Main Street too? So, just to make that a bigger developable
And
site.
one more quick point.
Yep.
I don't want to make it subject to a LIHTC grant because those have been extremely competitive, and we
Yep.
haven't gotten very many in the last 2 rounds of grants last couple of years, so.
Yep, and that's why we left it open. I mean, it could be market rate, it could be LIHTC. We know this is a favorable area for the LIHTC application on the scoring, but if market works, then that's what, it's up to the RDA.
The property that's immediately to the north, is that prohibitively expensive for the RDA to acquire that?
Fortunately, unfortunately, that was a property that the RDA was, and the city was looking to acquire. I was going to be bringing it back to the RDA for acquisition, but unfortunately for us, the city facilities division asked if they would be able to purchase it for storage needs that they have. So that is the situation we're in. The good thing is, though, in the future, if perhaps maybe there's a different building that clerks and museum and I think it was police could move their items to, we own it. It's gonna be a lot cheaper to acquire it and to hopefully redevelop it. But with that, community development staff is working with facilities to try to clean up that building a little bit so it will look nice, hopefully as part of this new redevelopment area.
At least now that we own it, that helps if needed, right? So,
At one point, wasn't there an issue about being able to have dual access to this property? I don't know all that exactly.
Sure. Well, I know at one time we did not have any property on North Main Street.
Okay.
So now we do. We at least would have area for a driveway. And there would be access because of the length, almost 400 feet. We would be able to look at 2 access points even on Jefferson. Now Jefferson is a one-way too. So, but we would be able to look at that if needed.
And how does this proposal or request significantly differ from the others?
And we kept some of the same language, but we did update it quite a bit. Obviously, incorporating information from our housing study and, trying to get a little bit more specific with some of the details and some of the items that we would like from developers. And, every time we write an RFP, we learn more about it and we improve the next one. So we did change quite a bit.
Okay, and could you just remind me, what is considered workforce housing?
Workforce housing is typically, I believe, 80% to 120% of the median income. Usually low income is 80% or lower. Any other questions?
If developers are submitting for Light Tech, can we ask them to provide scoring, or is that?
I think we certainly can.
Especially if you have multiples, it's a little,
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something we could look at doing. I would assume that they're gonna be scoring it on their own.
no, yeah, that's what I mean.
yeah.
They score on their own.
Right,
and
but
what they
submit that
present,
as part of
submit
a-
that as part of it, so you see what the likelihood is that they're,
Would be picked,
yeah.
okay,
And they did revamp the Light Tech,
they did.
so it just doesn't go to Milwaukee and Madison
Right.
anymore.
And it depends, you know, what percentage is, if it's the
Okay.
4 or the 9, and so, yeah, and I think they're continuously looking at that too, but,
But they all live in Milwaukee and Madison.
is that something that RDA would like, if it is gonna be a LIHTC project, to ask for that scoring sheet?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not confidential, it's,
okay. Anything else?
Is the 30 feet along Main part of whatever development would be there? That I guess I'm not envisioning what that would be used.
My guess would be a driveway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, we've worked with the neighbor to the south. We've reached out to them multiple times. We will continue to do it as part of this. They live there. It's their home. So, it's a little bit different situation. It's not just a business to buy out. So we will work with them to see if we can maybe expand that area too.
how wide is their lot?
The same, probably 30. Yeah.
And remind me, what's to the north?
That is a bar. Parking lot bar, yeah, they own that same, yeah. It's on the same parcel.
Has there been a history of trying to acquire Koopman properties there?
We have reached out to them, and we were notified that there was, somebody else that had an option on it in the past month or so. So,
Do we need, this isn't an action item.
this is not an action item. If you have any more comments, please let us know. As you see in there, we'll be sending this out, you know, fairly soon, but we at least wanted to, you know, get some initial comments, if anybody had any. And, we're excited to see the proposals that we will hopefully get and bring it back in July for your consideration.
Put a cover sheet with pictures of really cool projects on the RFP.
We've talked about including some visuals, kind of like a little lookbook of maybe some, yeah, some goals, some design goals and that sort of thing, but we certainly could.
Because this is, which neighborhood is this in?
This actually, is in the downtown, the new downtown neighborhood association. Yeah.
Is there any problem with neighbors across the street putting, or do you have to go to them for any reason to ask them?
We don't have to go to them for anything to ask them, but as part of this, we are making sure that this development somewhat is compatible, blends into the neighborhood. We don't want to build something, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit here. We don't want them to build something that looks totally different. You know, we want to somewhat keep that integrity of the neighborhood. Okay,
All right.
okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you for the input, everybody.
On to number 4, Environmental Protection Agency grant presentation.
Yeah, I just wanted to give an update. It was about a year ago that we provided some information. The city applied for an EPA grant back in 2019. It was a $300,000 grant. We are done using those funds. We actually did submit for another grant in late November. We're supposed to be hearing in May if we received it or not. But really for these same tasks where we can do phase ones, phase twos, remedial action plans, really do a lot of site investigation in these properties. And this was something that was probably, it was probably like 3-4 years ago. I know RDA, we are looking at a lot of our sites, and a lot of our sites, we had never investigated. There was still a lot of contamination on site. So we did use a lot of these funds to get a handle on what the contamination, what the issues would be. On the west side of South Main Street, between 7th and 8th, that was a property that the city of the RDA had really never fully investigated. So as part of these grant funds, we did do that. So we have a firm grasp of where the issues are, what's needed to clean up. And so when the developer does come forward, we're gonna have a little bit more concrete answer and information to provide. It also helped quite a bit on the Tim Hess and Chet Wiesenberg's Boat Works property or project, the T-Wall project. We also used it on multiple properties that we acquired along South Main Street. So I feel it's been very, very successful, and we are looking forward to hopefully receiving another grant here in the future. But regardless, it's something that staff continues to look for different grant opportunities to try to leverage funds, that we have to try to be able to do more with, or else, save taxpayer dollars in that sense. So just wanted to give a recap of this grant, and we will definitely let you know if what we hear from the EPA about our other grant application.
Where's their office?
The EPA. We work with a regional rep. He is out of Chicago, but I'm guessing that their kind of head main office is in DC somewhere. So yeah, we work with a gentleman in the Chicago area, and sometimes Minneapolis too. So that's all I have for that item.
All right. Special meeting for June.
So this is one, we're gonna talk about this as part of our lot discussion.
Looks pretty clean.
We have, during our workshop, we're gonna be talking about, we have quite a bit of interest in our infill lots. And we have quite a few developers that would like to submit, offers for your consideration. And so to be, courteous to them, I would like to try to set up a special meeting in June here, for you to hopefully go through the offers, after I receive some feedback from you today, the information, provided, and so they can move along with projects that they have. So if you would prefer to wait till June or July, the July 19th meeting, that is certainly your decision. But I at least wanted to throw it out there because I believe we're gonna have quite a few. So my thing was, if we have quite a few proposals and then quite a few infill lot, developers, that would be a pretty big meeting. So I was thinking if we could maybe split them into two. Does anybody have any objections to that? Okay,
Actually, I have to miss the July meeting, so.
okay.
I would prefer to be at least make one.
Okay. So what we will do is, I will send you some dates to choose from. And if you could let me know, I'll check the meeting room availability, staff availability, and I will, let you know what works, and we'll get it on everybody's schedule as soon as possible. So, okay, thank you.
All right. Executive Director report.
Right, so I have some new items that I did include in the report, and I'm trying something new. I'm putting some pictures up too, so everybody can look at pictures. The Pioneer Island, Marina Island area, we did receive, the city staff did receive a temporary use permit from the owner of the island to have a tiki bar for the summer, a seasonal use. And they are looking at using that existing tiki bar that is still on site today, and adding perhaps some tables to sit on, some volleyball courts, some bocce ball areas, can't remember the name of it, sorry, and putting in, using the existing parking lot, putting some porta potties in. They're trying just to generate some income for the site, but We've been working with them, and they definitely, the island is still for sale, and they're just trying to think to generate some interest in it also. So I just thought I would let you know that that's something that you might be seeing more of in the next month or so.
Is that parking lot okay? I haven't,
It's probably seen better days.
yeah,
It is asphalt, but they will need to stripe it just to ensure. And I know that there's some areas, on the island they would prefer people not to go. So you can see on there, they're probably going to be put fencing around where the old Pioneer Princess Poppy's area was, and on the north side too. So, yeah,
heard that in a while.
right. And then they'll have lighting out there, so they do have to follow some of our base zoning codes, obviously, to operate that. A big one is health code. There's a lot with the county that they have to coordinate. So, but I just wanted to give you an update. If you see some of the information, they are working with the city on that. And then in that same area for T-Wall, we are just waiting on one little thing from DNR, and they are ready to go. So we are really excited to get them going. And if you've been on South Main Street lately, you'll see that they poured one section of East Main Street, the south on 9th Ave, the East 9th Ave. They poured one section of it. So it's really exciting to actually see that finally happening. We've been talking about it for years. So the idea was to have that work done, and then they would come in so we don't have different crews bumping into each other. And then
I see those boat slips, are they putting those in, or is that the city, or is that?
that we're working on that right now. To put private boat slips in, you have to be the riparian owner. So we are looking at different options with that. They ideally would like to have the boat slips for the restaurant there, and then potentially for some of their tenants, but first I think they really want to get it for the restaurant. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. If they're public at, the first phase may be public, and then maybe we give them an easement or sell part of it so they're able to have private. We're working through that.
And which building or buildings were first again?
The one on the very right side of the picture, so right along, yep. So that one has a restaurant, and then it will have the commercial along South Main Street, and then the residential. So it'll be a really nice one to start with. And then Mr. Wiesenberg, he went through Plan Commission and Council for his development, so that is moving forward. I know they're bidding out the project right now, so they're going to be getting back to us as far as next steps. But they're very excited to move forward with their project also.
Both sites?
Both sites. Right now, they're going to start with the RDA parcel, and then I am working with city staff on plans to demo the old sanitation garage this year, so then hopefully they can start next spring on that site. And then just moving forward, the parking lot, Mercury Marine parking lot, that's one we talked about in March, and I just wanted to let you know that it was approved through council as far as zoning goes, but we are working on that environmental language in there. It was very broad, and so the city wants to make sure that we have no liability with any of the work that is done in that area. So we've been working quite a bit with our environmental consultant, AECom, Mercury Marine, and the DNR, just to talk about what our next steps should be for that too. And then one other item I did want to bring to your attention in the report is ATC easements. That is an electric, overhead lines that run through the city. They have a lot, it used to be owned by Wisconsin Public Service, and those lines typically were in the old railroad right-of-way. So the city acquired all the rights of the railroad when we purchased those properties. So we have the license allowing ATC to operate in them. So there's no easements in place right now, so now ATC would like easements. And unfortunately, it would really negatively impact a lot of our RDA and other city lots, city parks. So staff is working with, through all of our departments, really to figure out what would be that impact to our properties to ensure that, we don't set ourselves up for failure in the future. So we haven't signed anything yet We're really just in a due diligence stage where we're looking, to see what's kind of a non-starter and what needs to change. But that is something there's quite a few RDA properties that are on that list,
Is there a possibility that we would not give easement?
potentially.
And what would that do to ATC?
I mean, they have their facilities there, but they just wouldn't have, the ability to tell us that, we can't have utilities under there, or we can't, have any trees and, those sort of things, so, yeah.
I see your merge update. The berm that they put in, I assume they're not gonna be building there.
Nope, the berm will go. They are gonna put a building there. Yep. So, they kind of had a pause because they wanted to work with the city and the DOT to make sure they knew exactly what the alignment would be of that new bridge, because they're very close to that area. So, that's what they're working on now. We have the alignment, but now they're looking at their plans. So my guess is that berm is impacted soils. So they will most likely use it somewhere else on the site or have to take it to the landfill.
Last page.
Any other questions on the report? Okay.
All right, next meeting, normal meeting, July 19th.
Yep, and we will be in communication about a June one then.
We're at the fun part. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Have a good evening.